the listeners.
But I refuse to let you go.
We did karaoke night with all of his cousins, and I refused. And finally, I suggest, okay, I'll go, because whoever went got to choose the next person to do the next song, and I only did it just so that I can hand select the next song, which was a 50 Cent song, and I just wanted to hear Odin say "So Seductive."
And that's evidence, everybody, for Saeed Omar being a terrible human being.
Welcome back to the #1 financial literacy podcast in the world. This is The Higher Standard, sitting in front of me in the same merch as the last episode.
It's so seductive.
So seductive. My partner in crime, Christopher Nahibi.
And sitting across from me, my man, the myth, the legend, the quarter zip king.
Let's go.
Saeed Omar, everybody.
Thank you, my man. And sitting behind the desk in the production suite, Rajil, the fighting Fijian. What's up, my guy?
Hello again.
Hello again.
You know, the irony of calling him the fighting Fijian is that Rajil has never fought.
He's never fought, but that was actually a
lover, not a fighter.
It was
It
was actually a term coined by one of our listeners. Okay,
that's right.
And he actually reached out to me again. He's like, I really appreciate that you guys kept that going, and I feel like I'm a part of the show now.
Let the record show that description was not presented by Chris.
Right. All right. This is our end of the year episode, ladies and gents. It's been a fun ride for 2025. It's been really difficult for some of us.
This has been professionally probably the most difficult year of my professional
Do you think
career.
that's a prisoner of the moment, or do you really think that you're giving that proper reflection?
I don't know what you mean by that statement, so I'm going to take it as an insult.
You throw too many big words at me.
No,
Watch your mouth and help me with the sale.
Yeah, there you go. 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah, you go. Can't make that movie anymore.
No, you can't make the movie anymore. No, I think this is probably one of those years where you deal with a lot from a personal, professional capacity, and I think that anybody who changes their career midlife is going to feel that pain, particularly when you're starting new companies and a creative endeavor like this. It has been a very emotionally taxing year. I'll never forget the thought of trying to figure out, okay, I need to get insurance in place because I don't want my wife and my son not to have health care. Like that was very scary.
Right. And that's actually a big draw for a lot of people to stay right where they're at, because it's scary, right? Because there's new laws in place now where your new employer doesn't have to give you insurance for 60, 90 days.
No, it's not the new laws. It's that there's no law for this. I think this is just them hedging their bets. They're shifting the risk of you not being.
So this is just a new standard.
Yeah, it's a new standard. At least someone's probably going to correct me on this. But really, if you want to search it, I'm not aware that there is a new law. I think it's just companies are passing on the risk of you being the wrong hire onto you. Like, we don't know if you're the right fit, so we're going to give you a 60, 90-day probation, in which time you're not going to get any health care coverage until we go, you know what? Okay, he's a nice enough guy.
Right. Then you get your benefits.
Yeah, I don't like that.
There's a federal law. The ACA mandates the 90-day maximum for full-time employees.
Oh, so they have
Maximum.
They have up until 90 days.
And some companies will literally say 60 days or 90 days. That bothers me a great deal because I understand that healthcare is expensive, and I understand that putting somebody on healthcare has got windows and enrollment periods. But if somebody's going from job to job, healthy transitory migration from job to job is somewhere around 4.5 to 5% unemployment. You don't think people are going to think twice about moving jobs because you're not going to give them healthcare for 60 days?
That definitely hurts migration.
Yeah. So I think that's one of those things where that's a variable that impacts unemployment that we never really think about. Yeah.
I agree.
Sorry to get off topic.
No, it's not. It's all on topic, because this episode actually right now, today, what we're going to be doing as we wrap up 2025. Today's episode is about reflection, something that we've done a lot over the last couple weeks, couple months, and something that I actually do every year on my birthday. I like to literally carve out time to just reflect on the last year, things that I like, things that I don't like, things that I want to improve on, right? And this episode is going to be about that. No predictions, no hype, just real financial lessons that we all lived through this past year, right? And there's going to be some themes that you've heard us discuss in the past too, right? So some of these lessons were uncomfortable, some of them were expensive, but a lot of them made us smarter. Lesson number 1 that we're going to get into tonight. High interest rates change the rules. Cheap money is no longer the default, and planning has to adjust.
I almost want to back that one off a little bit and say that interest rate volatility is normal, and that we live through, and it's easy because you forget, you live through year after year. When you think about it in the context of like your life, as you get older, it's true. It feels like time is moving faster. And I know it makes me sound like an old guy. Fine, so be it. But we lived through almost 20 years of artificial interest rate deflation.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean for people? That's something that we've been saying, and I think for some people they just thought that was normal. I don't understand. What do you mean artificial interest rate?
Yeah, and this confusion has created big ass egos.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can say.
Oh yeah.
For a long period of time, it was normal to have rates change at a pretty regular cadence. So much so, and I know it's going to be shocking to a lot of listeners, that nobody gave a damn what the FOMC said. We're going to raise interest rates. We're going to cut interest rates. Everyone's like, bro, who cares? you know, like,
right.
Like, why are you on TV? Why are you holding a press conference?
Seriously.
But now we're at this point where we've sensationalized as to where the FOMC's press conference, and I cover it live on the show. So don't get me wrong, I'm part of the problem.
Well, we need to though. Yeah,
we need to, because it's where we are today, and extremism, sensationalism, it's all out there. And then this is all under the auspice of being more communicative. I get that, but for a long period of time, volatility was normal. A quarter point up, quarter point down. These weren't meaningful things unless you were worried about some other like large economic problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you find yourself in the situation today where rates were held down by the government holding it down for a prolonged period of time. And you had really weird one-time anomalous situations, i.e. a pandemic come around. People are like, oh my God, let's give people money. And you just held interest rates low for an artificial period of time, which has ramifications on building wealth, on buying property, on inflation.
And for our listening base, right, our demographics, a huge portion of that, they've just, entered into their professional careers at a time when, borrowing money was super cheap, and they don't know anything else.
My favorite thing to do when I see a younger entrepreneur come through, and this is going to wrap me out a little bit, is I like to kind of talk to them and kind of challenge them a little bit on like interest rate environments. So think about it this way. Let's say you started a company, any company you want. You got a line of credit. A line of credit is an index plus a margin, right? That index didn't have a whole lot of movement in the last couple of years, and now you've seen that go up. So a lot of people with lines of credit for businesses are now having to pay higher payments on their lines of credit because the index plus margin has increased at a cadence they've never seen in their adult lives. You started a business when you were 20, and now you're 34, 35. You're like, I'm a great businessman. I'm a successful businessman. Yeah, you didn't have to pay higher payments. You didn't have this volatility. You didn't have
kudos to you for
unrest.
Even taking the risk.
All your clients had liquidity in their pockets. I mean, there's a whole group of people in the mortgage space that have never experienced how difficult it's going to be in 2026.
I remember a time when I was in college, and at the time working for Wells Fargo, and I was on the teller side, right? And the bankers on the other side, they were literally referring people over to get home equity lines of credits
at the windows.
Just like, hey, you should get this just in case. Like you'll approve real quick, and it's
everybody had equity. It was a slam dunk. Hey man, pull out some money. The rate's low. Go put that money into something to make money.
Yeah, it's good for 10 years.
It was such an easy sell. And I know someone's going to listen to this and go, "Well, Wells Fargo got money." Yeah, put all that aside. Everybody was doing it, right? And it was like, hey, and to this day, I still believe that having a home equity line of credit is important. But do I think that you should use it to buy an investment and arbitrage? No, I don't think you should do that. And that's a reserve you tap into when you need it. If you need it, use it as a cash flow tool. But and I think that changing landscape of rates has really scared a lot of people. And now they're looking at things in the market going like, oh my God, like this is crazy. When you think about it, when you pull out to a 30,000 foot elevation and you look at kind of the economic climate, it's not just this component. That component is one meaningful one that in and of itself, rates and volatility in rates and the instability in the market would be enough to put challenging times ahead of us. But then you layer in all these complexities. You got social media, you got AI, you've got the S&P 500 being led by 7 to 10 stocks. You've got all this consternation. You've got a political zeitgeist, which is very clouded. You've got all sorts of things happening worldwide. And then you go, okay, how am I supposed to feel confident in the future?
Yeah. And things started becoming so expensive that people had to start planning out and really factoring in and being forced to consider, can I actually afford this? Right. And the idea of having patience, again, was a newfound skill for a lot of people that they had to start adopting. Right. I mean, we had an episode I remember not too long ago with Adam from Mind Pump, right? And not for everyday small things, but he said for like big ticket items that he wants to purchase, like a test that he likes to run, and something kind of resonated with me that I like. He likes to hold off on it for 6 months. Do I still want it in 6 months?
I do
Right?
that a lot.
You know?
I do that not only for 6 months, but like even Amazon purchases.
Mhm.
I'll put it in my cart and wait a couple of days.
Yeah. Do I really want this?
It's very rare that I go, I want this, buy it.
yeah.
Very, very rare.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, moving on to lesson number 2, something that we've said for a long time, not just in 2025, but I think something that a lot of people have had to consider. Cash flow is king, not just your net worth, right? Cash isn't king, but we've always said cash flow should be king. Paper wealth means nothing if monthly cash flow is tight.
Yeah, but I would also argue that depending on what kind of assets you've been able to accumulate, that they may offset some of that.
Okay.
But that is depending on how many assets you have, and for most Americans, it's not enough. That's a game of limited resources.
Mhm.
There's a finite end to that statement.
For-
So
For a lot of people, though, like they experience a lot of appreciation in the homes that they lived in over the past couple of years, right?
and you can tap into that, but then you lose your home at the end of the equation. So you have to have an alternative plan.
So either selling their home to tap into it, or they are tapping into those home equity lines, right?
Which
And-
gives you another payment. So you got to be able to pay that from
Yeah,
cash flow.
from your cash flow.
A
right?
lot of people will borrow on the home equity line to pay for the home equity line, and then it's just a perpetual parasitic cycle. It's very, very sad.
Yeah, and something that unfortunately for a lot of people this past year, they've experienced was as of November in 2025, 12 million student loan borrowers are now behind on their student loans.
Yeah, I don't know what the government was thinking. Putting everybody in forbearance all at the same time and then promising this possible forgiveness. Like, what did you think the consumer was going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was so on its face,
But also,
unconstitutional.
yeah, honest, and also a way that another way, one of many ways that they were able to skew the numbers. Right? Imagine making everybody stop paying their student loan payments, and they weren't just in forbearance. Where forbearance, you still get hit with the interest, right? No, they stopped on the interest as well. So they were actually they were actually deferred, right? And so you had now people who have obviously proven, right, that have a track record of not being able to manage their finances or have bad economic behavior, right? And they're not saving that money, or they're not paying the principal down every month. What they're doing is, I have extra money, I can go spend it.
Well, keep in mind, this is also happening at the same time that you're seeing this pervasive narrative on social media that school and education that you're paying for isn't really valued. You've got lots of people who are making money in front of you on social media all day long, some of which don't have a traditional education, most of which, frankly, who are on social media don't have a traditional education. They don't work in traditional jobs. And you're envious of all those things. So what do? You try to use that excess cash flow you have to live a little bit of that lifestyle because you have a little bit of FOMO.
Mm-hmm.
And FOMO causes that. And now you get throw in AI, and you start finding out people have fake weights on weightlifting stuff. People have fake vacations.
All this, yeah.
There's a whole bunch of it that's fake, but people took it all as face value
Mm-hmm.
and started to compete. And when people had a little bit of extra cash in their savings they didn't normally have, they had to make the payments, and they were told these payments would be forgiven, not just forbeared, but forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
People were like, I'm going to spend the money and I'm going to enjoy life because life's too short. And I can't say that I blame them. I heard a really interesting theory the other day, which I thought was curious. I don't know that it's true. I have to really dive into it to find the answer. But when I was arguing with somebody, a real estate pundit, that home values had increased at a cadence that outpaced salaries, his responsive argument was, well, yeah, but the things we expect from a home are very different today than what they were in 1920. And I said, well, what do you mean?
Yeah, the AC,
Central air conditioning, more insulation. They used to be basically just these wood houses that were propped up. And now you have all these features, tech, LEDs, pools, hardscaping, you know what I mean? Your palazzo.
Bigger homes, right? Palazzos, exactly.
Yeah, it's a palazzo. But it's a lot. And I don't know that there's an answer, but I can tell you that it doesn't change the facts that you can't really afford a home for most Americans these days.
I mean, and the truth of the matter is, if you are able to put yourself, we had a listener reach out to us and say, you guys have been ringing this bell now for the greater portion of over a year, and
I don't know that we have.
No, just to prepare yourselves, right? We were sounding the alarms.
There are way worse doomers than you and me,
for sure. No, but we were sounding the alarms. Everyone should prepare. There was the inverted yield curve that we'd been talking about. We were sounding the alarms on that. We've been sounding the alarms on the job data. The job numbers are inaccurate. Look, they're being revised downward every month or two. And look, we're still seeing that. And now layoffs are picking up.
I'm still going to go out on a record and say that I know that sounds like we were doom and gloom, that we were negative, we were pointing to all these facts. To be clear, recessions are not declared during them.
Mhm.
They're declared at the end of them.
Mhm.
The National Bureau of Economic Research will come out and declare, typically after a recession ends, months afterward, that what you just lived through was a recession.
Mhm.
After 14 years of artificial interest rate deflation, that first thing we talked about, it would not be irrational to expect that you would have a prolonged period of recession, unlike any recession that we had before, because we came out of this weird economic time, unlike any time we had before.
Mhm.
So I'm not entirely convinced that we've not been in a recession this last year.
Yeah.
And frankly, since we came out of the yield curve inversion. We might look back in a couple of years from now and go, you know what? We were in a recession from 2025 to 2026, 27.
Mhm.
You might get that. And I'm not saying that it's always got to be gumdrops and lollipops out there. I'm not saying that it's doom and gloom. Not all housing recessions are stock market recessions. Not all housing recessions are housing recessions. You know? So you just got to be a little bit more open-minded to the idea that recession doesn't equal poverty. Being prepared is not a bad thing.
Mhm.
And just because people warn you about things they're concerned about doesn't make them doomers.
Right, exactly. The extra cash flow that you do have or you are able to obtain, that should be just providing you more flexibility. And that flexibility ultimately should just be providing you and your family peace of mind, right? Shouldn't be, we say routinely on the show, don't increase your lifestyle, increase your investments, increase your savings accounts, which leads us right into lesson number 3 for the year, which emergency funds are not optional. Now, they should have never been optional for some people, but I do know for a fact that people dipped into their emergency funds in order to get a down payment, on a home or to buy that car that they wanted, right? Because for various reasons. But unexpected expenses weren't rare. They actually were very normal. We've talked about this on the show. It feels like every month I got an unexpected expense, right? It was, whether that's in a medical bill, whether that's something to do with my car, right? I think we all talked about it. Regina and I both today, coincidentally, both had our cars fixed, tires, battery, oil change, you name it, right? Now there's going to be listeners out there that be like, bro, you don't do those yourselves? Like, come on. But still, there are unexpected expenses. Insurance going up, home insurance is going up. So you need to be able to account for that.
I have every single month something that comes up. My wife and I have talked about this almost sarcastically at this point, that every month I hope that I'm going to have a couple grand that's just excess cash flow that I didn't have the month before.
Mhm.
Like there's always something. Like a couple months ago, I was paid $3,300 for tires, for the Rivian 22-inch tires, unique Pirellis. It's a whole thing. It's just stuff comes up, man. And but this is where like I look at that traditional advice and I go, yeah, that's good, sound traditional advice. But is it really feasible for most Americans these days? This is why Dave Ramsey's so attractive to most Americans. I can tell you, listener, go make more money.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, okay, great. How? And I give you some ideas and you're like, okay, I don't know that I can do that. And you talk yourself out of it and you're like, I don't know. And then even then there's ramp up time. I can get a second job, but then I'm sacrificing time. But you know what's really easy to tell people? Okay, if you can't make more money to increase your cash flow, let's cut back on expenses.
Stop spending. Yeah.
Every single person can do that.
Mhm.
That's what makes him so attractive. It isn't that his advice is that revolutionary or that amazing. He's just telling you the one thing that he knows every single person, regardless of your financial position, can do.
Yeah, and if he has a sit-down conversation with anybody, he can talk to you long enough to figure out you're overspending here, here, and here.
Watch this. Hey, Regil, you want to make more money? Stop spending so much.
Enlightened.
That dude makes $33 million a year.
So profound.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. Emergency funds aren't an investment. It was just the insurance to maintain our life, and something that I get it. It's tough. It's tough for us to build towards right now for a lot of people because a lot of people have been stretched thin. We've talked about this year the numbers on buy now, pay later services. People are financing groceries, right? It's not lost on us.
Those numbers have gone up every single year since we started talking about it on the show, which has been multiple years now. And I saw the CEO of one of the buy now, pay later services talking about this recently, and he was so defensive. But what struck me was he was so young.
Mm.
He was of the age demographic that hasn't experienced interest rate volatility. And he was asked if his fees were usurious, you know,
Mhm.
punitive to people and takes advantage of them. And he was vehemently against the idea that they were. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, one fee maybe. What about 3?
Mhm.
What about 4? What about 5 months of late payments? Like when does it become punitive?
At some point, they got to know that you're not going to be able to recoup on any of this.
Yeah.
You know, which makes it even that much more predatory.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's questionable. I'm not a fan of buy now, pay later services. And I've heard the pitch that, oh, Chris, if you manage the cash flow, this and that, yeah, that's great. And if I invested in Bitcoin when it first started, I would have made a lot of money, but I can't go back and change that. And I don't think that's a sound investment strategy for most Americans.
Hmm.
If you have the excess money and you're willing to lose it, great. Well, if you have the excess money and you're willing to lose it on buy now, pay later, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not lost on us, and I think there should be small goals set aside. If you can pay down the high interest debt first, and then slowly start building towards an emergency fund. Everyone's heard the rule of thumb, like 6 months at least of expenses, and that might seem like Mount Everest, and that might be very daunting for a lot of people, right? You don't look at it like that. You look at it, okay, can I save enough to where it equals the same amount as one paycheck, and then you start building it from there, slowly over time, right?
Somebody once asked me if a home equity line of credit was tantamount to having a reserve.
Mm.
And I thought, and my original knee jerk reaction was no.
That's
And then-
my knee jerk reaction.
But then I thought about it and I was like, well, do you have investments? And he goes, yeah, I've got stock. I've got this. I've got that. He goes, well, why would I sell my stock, which is earning me money,
Mm-hmm.
to pay down an expense, which I have the discipline to pay down over time? So what I'll do is over the next couple of months, if this unexpected expense comes up and it's significant enough to tap through my reserve, I'll use my home equity line of credit. And then when I'm done paying for it, I'll have a payment that's principal plus interest. And I'll pay the principal and interest with the money that I otherwise would invest every single month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, in theory, right, over time, because that should be making you more money as far as return. I mean, that's just the arbitrage.
But that's also somebody who's probably got more financial discipline and owns a home.
Yeah,
where
right.
Most Americans don't.
Something that they could tap into, right? Lesson number 4, lifestyle inflation is silent, but it is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Raises didn't always lead to progress, unfortunately. Wages didn't grow as fast as inflation. Employees essentially took a pay cut and accepted a lower standard of living.
The fastest way to move up at any company is to change companies.
I know. And this has changed a great deal over the last 10 to 15 years when you compare to like historically what it was almost deemed you were idolized for staying at a company for 10 years. You'd be gifted a watch.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I just left the company I was at for nearly 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard people during my tenure there criticize me saying, well, you probably can't get a job somewhere else because you otherwise you would have left and went up and made more money. And that was, to me, was such a eye-opening comment. It was like, okay, wait. If you're talented, you're expected to leave quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where did that come from? And then you start talking to recruiters and HR professionals, and they say, well, we like somebody who's been around the block a couple times because they've seen other companies and had exposure to other cultures. There's less likely to leave because they're going to, quote, appreciate what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're not going to see the grass is always green on the other side. They're going to see that, there's other issues there. I look at the employment zeitgeist right now, and maybe we should have seen it as humanity, where corporations are this unemotional business that panels of people make decisions for. The board of directors are in charge of strategy. The management team is in charge of execution. That's a soulless process. They're going to do what's in the best interest of the company. And very, very, very rarely does somebody go, well, how is this going to make our employees feel?
Mm.
Very, very rarely.
Yeah.
And because of that, you get people going like, you know what, guys?
Especially if it's publicly traded.
Yeah, I don't care. You guys are coming back to work.
Yeah. Well, they have a fiduciary. What they're going to rest on is we have a fiduciary responsibility to our shareholders. So we have to keep our shareholders happy, right?
Well, and then the natural question is, well, why do you care so much about the shareholders? Bill, your board of directors is also personally liable.
Mm-hmm.
They can be sued personally. Now, they have insurance. They have insurance to cover them. And there's indemnity and, and all that other fun stuff from the company. But you have personal liability. If you've ever been in a lawsuit where you're held personally liable or someone's trying to sue you personally, you know that that's a very painful process and very nerve-wracking. So the board is thinking about themselves in some capacity when they're like, hey, I am going to do the right thing for this company, whether it's human or not, because my job is to do the right thing for this company and the shareholders.
Mhm.
So there's pressure on them. The management team generally doesn't have the same personal liability, but generally speaking, your CEO is also on the board.
Yeah.
And in most cases, the chairman of the board as well. So
Mhm.
there's lots of reasons why those things happen, and the pressures that are there are going to continue to be pressures.
Right. So, and for a lot of people, they actually did make more money in 2025, but unfortunately, because inflation was what it was,
Mhm.
right? You have that's what we meant by the inflation lifestyle quietly showed up. You had bigger payments towards things like that carried interest, right? More subscriptions. We're seeing more like in order just to live a standard living now. How many subscriptions do you think the average person probably has?
Yeah, and people often overlook this. We moved a while ago. A few companies figured out that subscription models paid more over time to them, but more importantly, it paid regularly.
Mm-hmm.
They could say, we have X amount of subscribers and they pay every single month this month. That allowed them to better forecast and predict their profits, and they weren't based on consumption. Think about it this way. If you, the listener, have a $20 a month subscription that you're paying every single month because you use it occasionally, you're going to pay it $20 every single month. You're not going to think about it. Just drafts out of your accounts.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to pay for it whenever you want to use it, but you only pay $2 or $3, right? Some months you might pay 40, but a lot of months you might not pay at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's very irregular revenue for these companies. So these companies are like, okay, we're going to adopt this model where we get consistent revenue, and then we're going to focus on subscriber growth and only subscriber growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they know your consumer behavior, right? That now is a baseline of necessity for you. You're going to treat that as a necessity, and you're going to be more reluctant to cancel that subscription.
Once upon a time, not long ago, I canceled my Cox cable subscription.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the time I was paying up to almost $300 for cable, internet, and the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I got Google Fiber for $70. I got subscription services. I'm almost up to $200 again with all my subscriptions. And
Dude, we officially canceled YouTube TV because we're like, dude, we don't even use this.
Really? I use it every day.
Really?
I use it for CNBC in the studio.
Oh yeah, but we don't. I mean, at the house, no, nobody watches TV. Only person that watched TV was me, and it was like live sporting events. There's no time for that either, right? So it's like we just canceled it. I mean, my kids are on either Netflix or some kid-friendly like YouTube channel that we approve that they have to sit down and watch with us, or a movie that they like. Otherwise, they're not on the screens. They're playing. They're doing something else, right? So they're completely off all that, and it's like there's no point in keeping it around anymore.
Is this the way that? So then, I think the traditional media dies at some point in time, right? It's all going to move to on-demand product, right?
Dude, we literally sat down and we were watching when we still had YouTube TV. We were watching. The kids started getting into like our family TV time was like game shows. So they're really getting into game shows like Wheel of Fortune, things like that, right? What was the other one? The pyramid one, the $100,000 pyramid or something like that. Anyways, they were getting into that, and it was on the Game Show Network, and they blown away by the idea of having to watch commercials. Like, what is this? I'm like, what do you mean? This is what I had to deal with.
But you watch it on YouTube all the time.
No, but YouTube is a minute commercial, and then you could like skip after like 5-10 seconds.
Yeah, with the normal television show, you're talking about 10 minutes commercials in aggregate, right?
In aggregate for one show, and they're like, well, I don't want it. They're literally wanting to pull their hair out. Like, this is not worth it for me. Like, I kind of get it. Like, you're right, it's not worth it anymore. So, anyways, lesson number 5: home ownership is a strategy, not a status symbol. We covered this on the last episode 314. Right?
And I don't know that it's an effective strategy anymore. And I never thought that I would say that, but I'm not saying in perpetuity, but certainly right now, it's going to be a buyer's market in 2026, I think. And I think that we're going to see some leveling off of home prices. Is there something that's going to cause a crash on the horizon? Not that I can see right now, but I mean, we're also not through 2025 yet. But I do think there are other products in the market that are going to return much more. And that's unfortunate because the American dream is evolving in a way that we don't really see how that benefits everybody yet. And we're in this gray area. So the uncertainty that people feel about wanting to buy a home and feeling left behind is real. And I get it.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin, the QQQ, there are places you can put your money that are going to return better than inflationary benefits for you. And I think that's probably the best bet you can get right now until you figure out more about how to increase your cash flow.
Yeah. I think for I want to say for most people, yes, it's like an added benefit that they get the equity appreciation over time. I think owning a home for some people is more so also about like the lifestyle, right? And in this past year, I think there was the beginning of an honest conversation. We talked about it on the last episode. For you, it was a clear cut decision. It was now officially cheaper for me to buy than than it is to rent. That's when ultimately you decided that's no longer even a possibility to consider anymore. But buying a home isn't automatically winning, and renting isn't automatically failing anymore, right?
No. The stigma attached to it needs to go away.
Absolutely, it needs to go away. And you could if taking the right investment advice and the right investment strategy, you might be able to come out on top, way better than if you were to have to be strapped in and locked into a home and ultimately feeling trapped like most people right now are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah. All right. Lesson number 6, long-term investing still beats short-term noise.
I think that will always be the case.
Mhm.
Even for stuff like the QQQ and Bitcoin that we talked about in the last episode, that was really a long-term strategy. And then when I say long-term, I'll give you a good proxy for this so you think about, do the mental gymnastics here. If I'm talking about in lieu of buying a home, that means you need to hold these investments for at least the length of time you would have held a home. So in the historical context, it's 5 to 7 years in my mind. So if you're not investing with at least that time horizon as the useful shelf life of that investment, I would say you're probably cutting yourself short of where you could be. And also, you should expect to experience volatility in that time, the same way your home would.
Mhm.
So you'll look at your home's value on Zillow and you'll see home values went up or down, but it doesn't mean anything to you until you sell it. If you're investing in the QQQ or you're investing in Bitcoin, even though they're much more liquid and you just sell them in the markets immediately, that doesn't mean that you should. You should treat them as a liquid investments in your mind until you have a better strategy to deploy that money into something else. And keep in mind, you also have taxes.
Mhm.
The problem for most Americans with this strategy is they don't get the tax deferred benefit as you would get on a home where you got a 1031 tax deferred exchange benefit. If you sold it, you can go into another home.
Mhm.
You wouldn't pay capital gains taxes on it.
Yeah.
So there is something to think about there. And that's why some of these
What's
strategies
the
we
cap
talked
for a
about.
married couple? I think it's like 500 grand, right?
I don't even know. I don't have a palazzo like you, so I have much
No,
less
it's-
capital at work. I don't even know. Regil, would
It's
you,
the
would you
it's the appreciation, right? Yeah.
the appreciation in capital gains
For
limit?
the capital gains on selling your home. They're like I think it's 250 per purchase. If married is 500.
Why would you know that saying?
Well, because I've already sold my home in Riverside.
Damn, ball so
Wow.
hard, Saeed.
Yeah. 500,000.
Cerebellum.
So here we go. Let's read this here.
Married couples have specific capital gain tax rules that include a larger home sale exclusion of up to 500,000 on a primary residence and combined income brackets for other assets. Home sale exclusion: married couples filing jointly may exclude up to 500,000 of the capital gain from the sale of their main home, provided they meet certain criteria.
Yeah, but that's not. You could exclude all of that if you 1031 into a property you live in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what Saeed is saying is if you wanted to pay the capital gains, take the money out, that's what you would pay.
Mhm.
Most Americans will 1031 exchange into another property so that when they sell their property, the equity goes into the new property and never actually physically touch it. So therefore you don't pay any capital gains on it because you did not gain on it.
Right. And yeah, exactly. Because there's such thing as, obviously we can get into, that's a whole nother conversation for another episode.
What part of it is?
Short-term capital gains versus long-term capital gains and the difference between the two, and
Tax rates.
yeah, tax rates.
Yeah.
And we can get into that. On
Tax
our-
rules are going to change dynamically in 2026 too. That's a whole different conversation. This administration has been really wonky around some of the tax laws, not all of which I fully understand and appreciate. So that's probably going to be a future episode when I've had time to sit down and really read it.
Right.
Yeah.
But the market rewarded patience this past year. There was no panic. There was a lot of volatility throughout the year. There was fear. There were headlines screaming for attention. But once again, long-term investors who stayed disciplined were rewarded. Like for this episode, I just tapped into my 401k benefits, and so far year to date, it's up 16%. And like, yeah, that's with all the headline risks, all the volatility that's out there. Not saying it's going to remain that way always. Like there are going to be years where it corrects and it goes down, but it still proves that you don't want to panic when you start reading some of these headlines and pull out, because you could be missing out on some of the biggest gains.
Yeah, but I would also say that fear and volatility are kind of a natural, I guess, warning sign of recessions.
Mm-hmm.
And that, again, people keep, every time I say, hey, recession, or I'm worried about recession, people go, oh, great financial crisis. And I go, no,
Yeah.
let's not forget the pandemic was technically a recession.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we lived through that. Nobody died because of the recession. They died because of the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So
You can, and it can rebound quickly.
it can rebound quickly, but they're not. They're all very different. We tend to look at like, it's like when you talk about earthquakes, people think about the last earthquake they lived through,
Mhm.
right? Think about tornadoes and hurricanes. Same thing. The last one they lived through, the last one that was close to them in proximity.
Right.
They'll always remember that one. And recessions have different size, scope, magnitude. They can be very, very unique. So I think for people to get like all worked up and like the economy pundits are like, ha ha ha, no, let me see your model. And it's like, okay, I don't care about the models. I had this conversation with Logan from Housing Wire not too long ago. I commented on one of his posts. He didn't respond. I wouldn't respond to me. I thought I'm a terrible human. But he was talking about how like all these housing doomers, never have models and that they're not economists. And that's probably true. But there's something to be said for the fact that if a housing doomer or somebody who's very dark and gloomy on the economy is out there saying stuff on social media, they're doing it because people respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
Either people like you who are pundits who hate it, or the entire group of people who are in the segment of, I agree with this person because I feel that way.
Mm.
And there has been a polarization of data as much as there's been a polarization of anything else in the political zeitgeist, where you've seen this divide because people want clicks. I hope that goes away, but I think that fear and volatility in the market are going to be pretty common until such time as people get used to the volatility and are less afraid, and the volatility remains.
Yeah.
That's where that winds up.
Mm-hmm. And the last lesson that I have here before we get into maybe some of the headlines that we saw throughout the year or things that we remember was financial literacy is a requirement, not a luxury. Obviously, something that is very passionate to us here on the show. Not enough is taught or talked about in schools or at home as a safe place environment, right?
This is a safe place, Said.
This is safe. Yes, you're welcome.
Hold my hands. Hold my hands.
For the record,
put your little nubbies in my
we
hand.
can't start any fires with these fuzzy knuckles.
Uppies.
No, I'm not doing this with you.
Come on. Come on.
Not understanding interest rates or debt or what was likely to come after things like Fed speak
Come
or
on.
the jobs report, or understanding the basic meanings to things like the treasuries cost people real money.
Jill, you see this? He's not holding my hand.
The people who did weren't lucky. They were well informed. Having knowledge of these things didn't make life perfect, but it made making decisions much clearer. Right? Like, this is all, I think a lot of this current cycle that we're in, granted, I haven't been plugged in the way I am now in like previous cycles, but this feels different than what people have experienced before.
You don't need to be plugged in historically.
Yeah.
All you got to do is go, okay, what does the data say and why didn't it do this before?
Right, exactly. And
that's a simple question that nobody ever wants to address. Why are things so different now? Because we are different now.
Exactly. And why are so many people trying to control the narrative? Right? Why are you trying to control my level of optimism versus pessimism?
Here's the problem. It has always been that way. We have just been ignorant to it.
Yeah.
Because when it was the traditional media, and I want to talk a little bit about, and I'm going to take a little sidebar here about why we started this show. I think this is the right time to do it.
Do it.
But I'll get there in a second. But the traditional media had always had an interest in the narrative. And you know this, on the wall of my house, I have the New York Times from October 30th, 1929. The Great Depression was October 29th, 1929. Why I have the October 30th is it's a constant reminder that the next day, all the headlines were positive about how everything had changed.
Mm.
And it's the original copy. It's encased in this like glass, thing. It's really nice.
Airtight, yeah.
Airtight, like
tiger. Oh,
yeah.
Austin Powers.
But it's a constant reminder to me that the worst economic times can be followed by unbelievable positivity. Whether it's real positivity or intentionally designed to change the narrative positivity, that remains to be seen. But I think social media has exposed the intention behind those positivity swings.
Yeah.
That was the reason for the show. That was the reason. And I'm going to give everybody an example that they can just, imagine in their head. You turn the television on, you see Jim Cramer at the end of the market close every day on CNBC. If you don't know who Jim Cramer is, God bless your little heart.
Mm.
Older gentleman. He does like this rapid fire show, sleeves rolled up.
To the moon, baby.
To the moon. He's notorious for making the worst possible calls. And there's an entire reverse Kramer fund, which does pretty well betting against his bets in the market. But Jim is not indicative of the average investor anymore. He may have been at some time, and he was what the average investor wanted. He has an entire people who subscribe to his, his groups, his clubs, whatever the hell it is, and they call into his show. First time caller, long time listener. There he is. Look, I don't have a problem with Jim. Jim's a stud, and he's a legend by all outward measures. But he is often wrong. But that is a man who identifies with an aging demographic. Mm. This is not the value add. And he's not there to teach you financial literacy. He's there to give you his opinion on whether to invest or not. Mm-hmm. And when we built the show, we wanted a place where a younger, more sophisticated, more tapped in technologically generation could come to and talk. And it's not supposed to feel like we're preaching to you.
Right.
It's not supposed to feel like Dave Ramsey's beating you down. Side, why are you spending so much money?
Yeah.
I love, what's it, Hammer, Caleb Hammer from Financial Audit. That's entertaining, but I also find it offensive. I don't think a lot of people need to be yelled at. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, I get he's doing what he's doing, and he actually has a very caring component if you watch the show, and this is not a knock on him at all. I think what he's doing is brilliant media work. That being said, we wanted to approach this from a very cerebral, thoughtful process to teach people financial literacy when it felt like listening to friends talk. Mm-hmm. And I often find myself, and you and I do this a lot, and Regil, you get some of these messages too, where I'm hyper-focused on the data points of our show. My personal channel, which I haven't posted to on on YouTube in a long time, still gets 4x the amount of views than our channel on our YouTube channel on this does. And this doesn't count for all the other platforms. So we downloaded Spotify's Wrapped for the show. And we were in the top 96 percentile, top 97 percentile, top 90, I think, fourth, and 99 percentile, another one. In a lot of things. Our growth was 765% year over year in some categories, 367% in other categories. Mm-hmm. This is amazing growth, and it speaks to the show really resonating with a tight niche that wants to be treated like adults.
Yeah, and it speaks to the listeners that believe in us and think that this is a show that's worth listening to that should be shared with other listeners. I mean, I think the 99 percentile one we were like in the top 1% of shared shows.
Yeah, which is really crazy when you think about it, because we don't say anything extreme, but we're sharing. This is only on Spotify, just for the record. So if you added all of our metrics in, it's even more than that.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting to me and fascinating is our retention rates. This show, normally in the podcast space, if someone listens to about 60-65% of your show, you're doing well. Mm-hmm. Our retention is notoriously over 85% and oftentimes over 90%.
Yeah, anything over 60%, I think is considered good.
Yeah. I think it's because people identify with us as friends. I still get DMs to this day and I try to respond to everybody. Mm-hmm. And some weeks I'm better, some weeks I'm worse. But from people who talk to me like a friend.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I was outside of my house one day. I'm walking into the garage. Someone's like, "Hey, man, are you Chris?" I was like, yeah, what's up, dude?" He's like, "Bro, I listen to the podcast." And I was like, "No way."
Yeah.
Why would you do that? That's weird, silly boy.
Right.
Yeah, and it happens. I've been spotted at the gym, and if they don't think
That's
that I'm
cool.
Adam Schaefer, they think that I'm the guy who has the podcast.
Yeah,
it's a really strange dynamic.
That's
and
cool.
It speaks to, I hope that people feel like we're their friends and we're trying to be helpful and that we're being genuine.
Yeah,
because I do think the media world is changing, and I think that shows like this, particularly those that can be done live, are going to be with the future. Nobody cares about your scripted bullshit anymore.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. First of all, they shouldn't, right? And they should really do. I feel like what really separates us from a lot of people, right? You're right. It's like being a fly on the wall, listening to two friends talk, but also, at least one of us carries the credentials to really be able to like speak about this.
Jill, he's talking about you. Yeah, you.
YouTube University.
YouTube University in the house, baby.
Yeah.
I've learned more on YouTube. I want to talk about ChatGPT for a little bit too.
Oh,
100%.
yes.
The new image modeling that they got going on, dude. I think they're starting to panic over Google, bro.
They should. Nano Banana is phenomenal.
Yeah, you can't even distinguish between that and real life anymore.
And this is the problem. Like, I've given up. Like, I've seen these videos of crocodiles attacking people. I've seen polar bears getting on boats with people. I mean, I've seen some stuff that looks so hyper real. I'm like, it's just all AI now.
Yeah.
It's all AI. I literally saw, this is terrible because I know it's going to get us banned from advertising this. I saw a picture of Trump the other day with like super white raccoon-like eyes, and his tan was like more pronounced than before. And I thought it was AI. It wasn't.
It was.
It wasn't AI. And I was like, wow, my bad. Like, I didn't know.
Right.
But it was on CNBC, and I'm like, this is AI, right?
Yeah,
that's too.
I hope they're fact checking. Yeah.
But fascinating thing. So a buddy of mine that I went to elementary school with found me anecdotally, and he has such a vivid memory. He remembered everything from our childhood. He's been listening to the show, and he wanted to correct me on a few things on AI, and I'm gonna read it. I haven't had the chance to read it because I've been so busy.
I love that. I love it. If we're wrong about something, hit us up. Let us know. And we have no, at least me, I definitely don't.
He's in IT and this is kind of a subject matter expertise. So he's gonna correct me on some things, but what I thought I'd share was really fascinating. So for the live show that we're getting ready to do, I'm going down the rabbit hole of some things that are not on YouTube. I've spent a lot of time preparing for this podcast on YouTube and reading where I can. And ChatGPT helped a lot, especially with the design of the studio. But now I'm in this realm where I'm trying to connect an ATEM Extreme ISO, which is, kind of a mid-tier production switcher, mechanical switcher, with the Rode Rodecaster audio interface, all connected to a Stream Deck, working with OBS broadcast software to broadcast both in vertical and horizontal formats to multiple platforms.
This is a full production studio at this point. Yeah.
While doing this, creating intros, outros, adding different sources, the ability to use effectively teleprompters and stuff like that. And if it all goes well, it's going to look like it was very easy. But this is not like you download a stream package for the internet for Twitch and you just upload it to Twitch and follow the rules. You got to query how to do this stuff. And this is not stuff that you find on YouTube or the internet very readily available.
Right.
You have to piece it together. I have been stunned.
It's not a huge demand to learn all this. Right.
Stunned at how wrong ChatGPT has been, how frequently.
And no, you would almost hope that it'd be like, I don't know if I know enough about this to.
There's been 3 or 4 times where I have literally called it out and it says, you're right to call him. You're right to question that. I was wrong when I said X. And you're like, wait, what? It had me going on the rabbit hole. I'm using NDI, which is a way to video broadcast over a wireless signal to like other devices, right? So I can sit in this room, use the iPad and circle things while not connected to the physical computer because computer's broadcasting a video signal over this NDI frequency. But it was causing this lag. So I was like, hey, ChatGPT, blah, 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 what's going on here? And it led me down this rabbit hole for literally 3 hours. When I finally got to the light bulb went on in my dumbass head where I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about, ChatGPT.
Yeah, I'm calling shenanigans.
I did. And you know what it said? You're right.
Oh my gosh.
But it's really interesting when you think about it. If ChatGPT is only correct because it's better at searching the internet than Google was, crawling the internet, then is it really reasoning? If it's just feeding me what it's finding from multiple sources in one source, is that really a reasoning model?
Yeah.
Because it's been wrong. I'm telling you, the last 2 weeks, I've been spending a lot of time late at night and early in the mornings working on video, stuff like that, and this very, very narrow niche, and it has been wrong literally more times than it's been right.
Right, and this is, you got some, Rajil? Oh, I thought you were getting ready to say something. Sorry.
You let him talk to you like that, Rajil?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm
I'm
giving my man the floor in case you want. I thought I heard him getting ready to say
You want
something.
your flowers, Rajil?
Give him his flowers, bro.
You look tired. You good, dude?
No, he's good.
I'm good. I got first form.
Oh, shout out. Yeah, that's another thing happened in 2025. We got cases.
Andy sent us cases of beverages.
Thank you, Andy, again. But yeah, no,
I had like 5 today.
I can
tell it's not good.
But I mean, to your point, like, look, and this is the fear, right? This is the fear that a lot of people have, a lot of investors have in the space is, okay, so far it's a really good assistant right now, right? A really good place as a launching pad, right? But is it going to get to where it needs to get to before we have a correction?
Correction on the statement. ChatGPT is not there yet.
Yes.
From a reasoning general AGI model.
But I think isn't it the most used source?
For some things, for querying, I think ChatGPT is a great Google replacement, right? If you're Google, you got to be worried. You got to be going like, Scheißen.
Yeah.
But
Google's had the benefit of letting them kind of lead the way, explore, and they're getting to work on the back end.
But now you got Nano Banana, right?
It's such a wild name.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah, I'm for it. Yeah.
Bro, that to me, honestly, like that's a stripper name.
What are those?
Now coming to the floor, Nano Banana, everybody.
I was driving on the way over here, and I was literally thinking to myself, I wanted to just catch you off guard, but I know you so well that if I try something new and like I didn't like give you like time to prep for it,
I would just stop and look at you.
You just look at me and be like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. So I was like, I'm not gonna look stupid, but I was gonna be like, ooh, welcome back to the #1 financial literacy.
You go full radio now.
I was gonna, yeah, no, or what was his name? The guy
Michael something.
Yeah, the guy that introduces the fighters at UFC.
Yeah. Oh, Michael Buffer?
Oh, yeah, Michael Buffer. And then I was like, you're just going to look at me like I'm stupid, so I'm just not even going to do it.
Let's get ready to financial.
Yeah, I was going to go the full thing.
You're really okay. That's really lame. Don't do that. I mean, I'm just
yeah, I know it is. I know. That's the point. I'm willing to make fun of myself.
We're supposed to be friends talking to people overhearing, not like two jackasses in the corner everybody's pointing at. Like, look at these two nerds. By the way, the four of us here, between you, me, Regil, and Matt, this is the nerdiest room as ever. I swear. It's so hard at like nerd financials. It's unbelievable. So back to my point. Nano Banana, the stripper. So that is a really good model. Like that model is working exceptionally well. You get really good product from it. And you've now deviated from that period of time where you're like, oh, it's AI generated. Look, he's got 7 fingers. Mm-hmm. You know, and now you're like, okay, wait a minute, that's pretty convincing. Yeah. And now you got video models. You got also, I mean, and Sora has been spectacular, although I would say that they should have really ramped out. They were popular for a brief minute and they kind of backed off. Mm-hmm. But you've got delivery of some of the benefits of AI already. Like when you call a call center, and I've seen this technology in place, I've talked about it on the show. Mm-hmm. You call a call center, AI is already aggregating all of your debits and credits on your accounts and going, okay, how much money can we save this person a month based on the payments they're making to X, Y, and Z? Mm-hmm. So when they're selling you now, imagine being in a teller line as a teller. You and I both former Wells Fargo tellers. Shout out to Wells Fargo.
Yeah, shout out, homies.
WF in the house, homie.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, Charles Schwartz, what's up?
I got that. I know the secret handshake.
Yeah, it's pay me.
Pay me what you owe me.
It's sell at all costs. Too soon. They're out of the regulatory hurdles now.
Yeah.
Okay, so when somebody comes to the seller line, you were trying to sell a product back then, and opening accounts, making accounts more sticky was part of how you had client retention at a bank, right? Like the more ingratiated you are into any ecosystem, whether it's a bank or it's
Apple,
a cable network or Apple, the less likely you are to leave. The stickiness of your relationship,
right? Like if you're not going to change your entire ecosystem if you have a computer, you have a watch, you have a phone, you have headphones, you got everything, right? You got the cloud. That's it. You're locked in. You're done.
Yeah, Apple isn't concerned with keeping you as a client customer. They're worried about increasing your spend on an annual basis.
Right.
So that's what they're looking to do.
Right. And then a bank, I remember the pitch for Wells Fargo at the time, like, make sure they get the debit card, make sure they get the checking and the savings, and you got to also get them in on day one, online banking. And it was like all these things. It was like now they're not going to switch banks if they've already took all this time to set this up.
It's very rare people switch banks, and it's a headache. Nobody wants to do it, and I've done it before, and it's like it's painful. Yeah. So that being said, when people came to you back in the days as a teller at the line, you were selling them on the generalized benefits of these products. Mm-hmm. Hey, you should get a home equity line of credit. You got equity in your house. You can probably use this, right? Mm-hmm. What if you knew exactly how it would benefit them financially when they came to your line? You see that on your screen now. That is deployed technology now.
Yeah, real time
at
data.
Wells Fargo, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
So that you can go to a teller line. They're going to be like, "Hey, Saeed, you can save $200 a month by doing this." Mm-hmm. Like, and that's not speculation, bro. Like that's me telling you, I'm looking at your spending. This will save you money.
Right.
You know, and that's how technical they can be based on like tertiary circumstantial information that you as a human could never process. And that's already out there. Mm-hmm. And that's where once you've committed to the data and you start building the model, that's where you really see AI get better. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what ChatGPT's end game is, like, and maybe I probably should, but they have not improved the AGI portion, the reasoning portion of the model, at least from my perspective, because there's some very illogical reasoning coming out of the model. Right. I'm basically trying to tell you that I'm smarter than ChatGPT.
Yeah, no, you definitely are.
I'm Chat CPT, homie.
Why? What's the CPT?
Compton. Oh. Damn, baited you hard.
Compton Dominguez. Okay, I got it. Oh, I didn't expect that. That was good. Look, and even if there was like an asset bubble here with AI, and there was an AI bubble that ultimately pops, that it looks similar to the .com crash.
I don't
right?
think it will.
Even okay, let's just say, but for the sake of the argument, even if it does, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna rebound. There's too much money that's gone into the data centers, into the infrastructure to let this thing fail. Everybody's committed.
Well,
Everybody's committed.
Let's take this a different path. Let's just say, okay, hypothetically, that the AI infrastructure is not what increases the need for power. We still need more power for more people. And the way technology is going, even if you carve out the AI piece and the model piece and quantum computing, all of which are giant power sucks, right? You just need more infrastructure for the world, right? You used to have big cities, big gaps in between, another big city, big gap in between. And now these suburbs are creeping into the cities, and the cities are creeping into the suburbs, to where you're not having a whole lot of space in between some of these cities anymore. There's cities across America where you'll drive from one city to the next city, you won't see any green pastures in between.
Yeah.
Right? And Irvine to Tustin to Costa Mesa, these are all fully developed urban metropolis.
Irvine to the Inland Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you start thinking about this in the context of like humanity just grows. You're going to need more power, more infrastructure. So the things that we're doing here are being, I guess, exposed for the need with AI and technology. But as technology and the power back end of the workforce continues to grow, I mean, look at the Studio Mac in there. I mean, again, I've been doing this a lot lately,
Yeah.
right? I got a full production suite in this office. In this office alone, this tripped me out the other day. I was counting it. I'm like, wait a minute. 1 screen, 2 screen TVs, 3 screen TVs, 3 monitors, 6 monitors, plus the other one for the Google screen, right? That doesn't include the iPad, the one on the wall for the thermostat. And there's 5 cameras in this office that are not the cameras that I use to record on. There's 5 more on top of that. That's 10 cameras in total.
Right. So, yeah.
That's insane.
It is insane.
This office is
That's highly secured. Don't even think about it.
No, we got 24-hour security. Yeah.
It's indoors. You can't get in.
Rajil's real second job is watching this place at night. He sleeps on the walnut.
On the wall. Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of technology here.
Yeah.
All powered by that Mac.
Yeah. Fighting Fijians.
The Fighting Fijians.
Secured by.
Yeah.
Top flight security.
That's a good
Top flight,
name. Yeah. Fighting Fijian security sounds sick. I'm in.
He was in the process of getting the security license, right?
I
remember that.
I have it.
Yeah,
he already has it. Look at that. Ready.
We gonna sponsor that?
100%.
Fighting Fijian security.
I'm taking that name. I'm taking that domain name right now.
We're doing movie voices now.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, to your point, that little Mac is powering this entire studio.
Yeah, Mac Silicon. I mean, this is not technology. And here's what's going to happen when quantum computing comes out. I mean, all bets are off, bruh. We're going to have unbelievable technology at our fingertips. Open up quantum dimensions.
I know. And that part of it.
Get to meet Robert Downey Jr.
That part of it, I don't know. It scares me. It feels like it's far away, but it's not that far away. I mean, you got people like Bill Gates literally coming out and putting his name on statements of like, in 10 years, I could see a 2-day work week. That doesn't mean like you're going to be earning as much as you're making now, right? Off 2 days of work. That's not what that is. He's like,
no, you will be. It's just worth a lot less then.
And you're like, man, like for him to come out and say something wild like that is crazy.
2036 inflation takes your wallet.
And what's sad is like, look, it's taken us thousands of years to get to this point, right? To get to where we are today, and to have the efficiency and the productivity that we have. And you would think, man, as a human race, we could all bask in, the benefits of all this and find a way to work less and make more. But it's like, nope.
That's it.
Greed.
You heard it. You heard it, Jill. He's a socialist. Get him. Get him. He's a socialist.
No, but you get what I mean, man.
No, I get what you mean, but the problem is that capitalism. I hate to say capitalism because you have communism, which has the same problems. I mean, look at China. You've got billionaires there,
dude. When they say,
"Whoops,"
no,
but
when they say like, look, everybody had the same fear when the internet came up, and look, and it ended up making more millionaires. And listen, the goal is to replace tens of millions of jobs. That's the goal. And if they fulfill that promise, what are we talking about here, man?
Time for you to become an electrician.
Yeah, exactly. Go to trade school. I don't
have a problem. I'm a licensed general contractor.
I mean, I'm
good.
I'll become a plumber. I'm down.
I have a lot of skills. We're just looking to account for this. my electrical.
You almost cut your
skills-
finger off.
I did almost. Cut my finger off.
I don't know if you should be tooting your own horn right now.
No, I am the world's worst contractor. It's pretty bad. If it wasn't for Regil, this place wouldn't even be here.
That's right.
This is Regil's work.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Regil did all this. I didn't pay him a dime for it either, which is
No.
really good financial planning for people. If you listen to the show, here's what you do: you take advantage of your friends.
Yeah, isn't that what they teach life insurance agents? Right?
So you sell to your family.
Yeah.
Sell to your
So
family,
first thing
yeah.
what we're gonna
Yeah.
do is go
Yeah.
to family members, your
Right.
family and friends. Then after that, then we'll.
I got
Sorry,
paid
welcome.
in teriyaki.
Yeah, you did get paid in teriyaki bowls. We haven't been there in a while. We should
We
go.
haven't, yeah.
we should go.
Dude, he's never taken me to get teriyaki bowls.
That's because it's spicy teriyaki bowls.
What
We know
about
you-
Hawaiian
What?
ribeyes?
No, what? I eat spicy now.
We need to get Hawaiian ribeyes. We got to go do that. Can we do like a holiday party for the higher
I
standing
asked
please?
you last week, let's go to dinner and let's plan 2026. You're like, oh, I'll get back to you, bro.
Did I really? That sounds like something I would say. Did I say that to you?
You said, I got check. I got check with the boss.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would say.
So we can go have Hawaiian ribeyes and some karaoke.
There you go.
Yeah, karaoke's not
so
gonna happen.
seductive.
Yeah. CBT in the house. So I can just imagine like walking into Patrick Bet David's like school of like insurance. Do you have family members?
You know that's happened.
You know they're gonna die, right?
Yeah, they need insurance.
They're gonna need life insurance. That's what you're here for, buddy.
Don't you care about your nieces and nephews?
Don't you want them
Mhm.
to have a less painful death?
That's actually probably one of the first educational videos that I would like for us to make. Right, is just an understanding, a place where
How to
people
build a
can go-
Ponzi scheme sponsored by the higher standard.
No. Life insurance and go over whole life versus term and just some basic overall concepts, because I think that's another one of those topics that people just put off because they're just too afraid to even consider.
It is daunting. When
Yeah.
I first did it, I was like, "Damn it!" And then I had a guy. So I'll full
I'm
disclosure.
not gonna lie to you, I don't have it.
Really?
Yeah,
None.
and it scares me. I know that I should, but it scares me too. So it's something that I myself need to dabble.
I think I'm
into.
worth more dead. I gotta be honest with you. Like I'm my wife's like, "How much?" I'm like, "Yeah, don't kill me." I mean, I guess you could.
Yeah.
I'm being sarcastic here. I've got $500,000 whole and $500,000 term, and cost me about. And I used to have another $250,000 with the corporate policy, but now that I'm no longer employed by my previous employer, that doesn't exist anymore. But
That's the knock, right? When you're putting into it, when you're working for an employer, it's like, okay, that benefit goes away the second you're no longer there.
yeah, well, they pay for that too. So I mean,
Mhm.
it's not like I was paying for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, 1.25 million versus 1 million or whatever. But whole and term, I have half. It's about $5,000 a year ish combined that I pay once a year to I think general insurance or something, like that, American General Insurance.
Yeah.
But I had the benefit, just to be clear, is when we started the bank, we actually had an insurance group internally, and George,
I remember them.
sweetheart of a dude. I sat down with George, and you
Really?
don't even remember George, do you? You looked at me, I don't remember George's face.
No, I thought it was James.
James?
Yeah, sorry, I was wrong.
No, George.
George. Okay. No, yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so George and I sat down, and he went over, George Rome. He went over everything with me and broke it down and kind of like explained the benefits, and he cleared up a lot of questions. And it was really cool to have somebody who works with us that you could just unilaterally trust.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to the point with the conversation where I'm like, you know what? Here, stop right here. Just give me whatever you think I need.
That's good.
That's
yeah,
really
yeah. I mean that's
And he goes, if I were you, I'd do this, this, and this. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm poor. So
Uh-huh.
let's back that up a little bit.
We're not there yet, Chief.
Yeah. The poverty line is right here.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah.
Exactly. 2026, man. We got a lot of fun things planned for the show.
What? The show?
Yeah, this show. And if it doesn't go,
I was doing this amount. I was going to do like a Reading Rainbow like montage.
honestly, they're Reading Rainbow for the OG listeners. They remember that.
Yeah.
Reading Rainbow. If this doesn't kick off in 2026, I blame all you guys. And we're gonna have to.
You pointed at Regil and I when you said that.
No, the cameras.
Cameras. Okay.
The cameras.
Just to be clear.
Yeah. Can't point at this one.
I mean, you can.
It's not looking at me. But I'm excited, man. The live shows, the educational content. We're gonna go full throttle here and take this thing into the next gear.
It's not easy.
We're gonna really look. We've never sold you guys anything on the show to profit off it, but the one thing we're gonna come out and ask everybody to do is to share the show. You know,
I mean, we're in the top 96 percentile, 99 percentile for that.
more sharing, more. I need all the shares.
You can't get to 100 percentile.
I need the 100%. I need to be the number one. Yeah, shared show.
Well, Uh, so here's the mechanics behind the scenes that I think a lot of people don't understand. We started the podcast out of the garage. It was a very humbling experience, and it was really mind pump. And a lot of what we've done, studio after studio and location after location, because the beginning wasn't a studio, was a montage, homage to them, if you will. Even behind us now with the foam panels that are on the wall, that's a little shout out to the guys at Mind Pump. We've taken bits and pieces from them along the way, and it's been really a lot of their help. And then there's people that have come and given us good piece of advice, but the podcast was always to be like a helpful like tool. And I think we figured out the audio streaming platforms. I just think that it's not everybody's niche. But the video streaming platforms like YouTube exposed what we thought were some material weaknesses and some possible future bright spots. Weakness number one is that we're not reactive enough. And a lot of people tell us that they want to hear more from us, not less. And we got a lot of kudos when we were doing 2 shows a week. So the ability to be more reactive in real time, possibly with a live show on Mondays and Wednesdays from like 12 to call it 1 or 11 to 1, right before the market close, we can kind of go over the topics of the day, talk about what you saw, what you didn't see, and possibly what's coming on the rest of the week. Would give people a live feed they can tap into, and that'll be streamed live to 5 platforms all at once, right? So X, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And if you watch us on any of those platforms, you can see it now. That doesn't mean that the Apple audio platform and the Spotify platforms won't be getting that streaming content, which will have a different intro, different outro, but very similar, but more news-driven format.
Yep.
And the idea is to try to bridge the gap between a Jim Cramer, as we saw earlier, and what we're doing here, because this is educational, it's friendly, it's collegial, but we want to take that base and give them more. We want to give them something more they can tap into if they want to. The other part of that is the educational content. Think 8 to 20 minutes at most of just purely educational, single topic derived content where Said and I are going to speak directly to you, like talking head video, but educate you on certain topics. We're going to build up kind of a library of that, all of which will be for free.
Right. And it should be viewed as a resource that if you had a question about something, I want to hear what the guys over at the higher standard have to say about it versus maybe somebody else that you may not trust. Right?
Yeah, or you could just forward it on to somebody else who says, hey, yeah, I want to know about insurance. Well, here you go. Here's a 13-minute clip on insurance. Just watch these guys. I'll tell you everything they know. And oh, by the way, there's all these episodes where they've talked about other parts of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was the intention and hope for 2026. I will admit that the hard part for me on a human basis is going from a full-time working executive in the banking space to launching another business in the banking realm that's doing quite well, to not being able to talk about the things that I'm doing publicly, to getting sued the way that I am on a couple different platforms, and not being able to talk about it, not because I'm limited, but because I want to pay respect to the process. And I think that it's easier to tell people what you went through as opposed to what you're going through, because I don't want pity from people. Like, I know that I'm blessed and I'm lucky.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you guys knew some of the stuff that was happening, I mean, $60 million lawsuits, stuff like that going on right now, that's just, you look at it and you go, okay, like, why? And the reasons and the logic, they're just not there. But you can't stop people from doing what they want to do, right? And that's fine. And if they want to make false and baseless accusations, they're going to. And you start doing all that, and then you come into the studio and you want to be creative and build something,
right?
Where you kind of need like this mental like frame of clarity.
Anybody that's ever done anything creative knows it's not easy to find your muse.
Well, I have you two. I look at both your faces, you and Regil's faces. I look at your guys' faces all day long. Like, I'm not even saying this romantically. Yeah, I literally look at your faces all day long. And the technology stack, and I'm in this big build period where like there's no like dopamine hit. And the one thing I will tell you, and I don't know, I want to end the show on this, but I'm wildly grateful for, it's that, you know, like a couple shows back, I did a show talking about how, like, you know, it can be discouraging from time to time and all the things that happen. And like, you know, and we were going to change the show, and people were afraid we were going to quit.
Yeah.
The most like dopamine I've had lately, other than seeing my wife and my son and things that I do as a family, was not a paycheck. It wasn't feeling successful. I actually feel like a failure. And there was that episode where I said that really resonated with people. It's the silly as it might sound, the simple DMs I get from people saying, I listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when a listener tells me she's pregnant and she listened to us during her last pregnancy, that's meaningful. When
Mhm.
Bob messages me saying, hey, bro, I heard you in the last show. You mentioned me. That's so cool.
Yeah.
When people are getting their spouses to bring their spouses in the room to hear that we shouted them out on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm hearing about it in DMs and they're telling us like, hey, I appreciated that. And you start like looking back and you go like, people that we used to work with, like the Dave Mitsuchis of the world, who I know listen to the show, like Yoshi, who listens to almost every single episode. God bless his sexy beard.
Mm.
And you start thinking about all the people around us and you start thinking about how many people whose lives we touch on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
You just feel so blessed to be in other people's ear holes. You know? I love being in other people's ear holes. Inside them.
I know you do.
Resonating on a weekly basis.
That was good, man. That was good. And honestly, for me too. I don't get them as often and as frequent as you do. But
That seemed disingenuous.
But no, I'm being serious. But the people that do reach out and let me know, and even when people ask us to cover topics, right? It feels like a certain level of responsibility to make sure that we do a good job and we perform at this.
You know, you don't talk about enough. I'm gonna cut you off. You know, you don't talk about enough.
Mm.
You've taken risks to do this.
I have.
You don't talk about it. You don't talk about it enough.
Yeah. Maybe
one day. Is that what we're gonna get to?
Oh, we'll definitely talk about it one day. Yeah,
Okay.
that's for
All
sure.
right. Like, I'm not trying to put you in the spot. I'm just saying, like,
I don't think people can appreciate that aspect of it. You know.
yeah. I mean,
I'll
use myself.
I'm
Is that okay?
I'm not saying one risk is greater than another, but I mean, I'll say there's not a whole lot of flexibility on this side.
Can I use myself as an example?
Yeah. Please do.
I am privy to a board meeting that was had where I was referred to as a podcast star. And it was used to completely invalidate every bit of my otherwise professional capabilities, history, track record, and pedigree. They didn't look at my education. They didn't look at my experience. They didn't look at my professional track record for 20 years. They dismissed me as a conflict of interest who was a, quote, podcast star. And the irony, the part that pisses me off to no end is just because they visibly saw me on something, I can guarantee not a single person who sat in that room actually saw the show.
Mm.
I can guarantee that not a single one of them actually appreciates the value that social media brought to their franchise in bringing more people to resonate with leadership, the human tactile touch. And I can tell you straight up that not a single person in that room had ever actually had a conversation with me as a mature adult. Yet my career was almost destroyed because a bunch of people in the room suggested that I was too busy doing this and not enough working. And not a single person in those rooms ever once thought that I worked more hours than every fucking one of them in that room.
Mm.
And I will stand on that. If anybody from any board that I was partaking on ever wants to have a conversation with me like a mature adult, and I hope they get sent this, and you want to check and go hour for hour on who put in more hours for 20 years, I can damn well tell you it was me. And if you want to go look at time cards, which I'm sure you still have, where I clocked in and out of the parking structure, we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I slept at that office. I worked there. And just because I'm physically capable of doing more work than you, because I'm willing to sacrifice things you're not with your family to do something like this, to help people and to be a good person, to give back. The whole point of being successful in life is to provide value to others, opportunity to others. I was demonized, written off as a podcast star, and sent on my merry way, treated terribly along the way for it. They looked at my real estate business and said, it must be a conflict. How about the fact that I hadn't sold a home for anybody else other than employees who I gave the commissions back to every single damn time and paid taxes on it?
Actual. Yeah.
And yet not a single person listened. So for people listening to the show, I don't say this because I'm angry and emotionally charged. I just do that because I'm looking at Saeed and it makes me get aggressive. But
This is all your fault.
Yeah, Saeed made me good. I say that because sacrifices to do this have been made.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's sad that a lot of people have to keep their side hustles who listen to this quiet. And it's not lost on me that people listen to the show go like, I have a job. I don't want to lose my job by making more money on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, I don't care what that looks like. I don't care what people say, as long as it's not a conflict of interest of what you're actually physically doing. If you're working for Pepsi, you can't go work for Coke on the side. But if you're working for Pepsi, You can sell baseball cards on the side, dude.
Right, exactly.
You know, no one owns
100%.
you.
Yeah, and we've said this to the listeners before. Look, we've turned down potential conflicts, right?
Oh,
we've turned down real money.
Yield Street came to us, offered us lots of money to be a sponsor for the show. And at the time, we had a wealth advisory firm, and I could not take that deal.
Right. Can you believe that? Yeah, that's real money. And look, that's okay. I mean, when we first started, look, in an ideal world someday, yes, I'm not saying that we don't want to make a profit off this. That is obviously it would be a nice added benefit.
What bothers me is not all that. What bothers me is that people assume that your morals are as low as theirs.
Yes.
So they assume that you must have conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the truth in all of it. I disclosed twice a year, every year for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
For a decade on every single side thing I was doing. I opened up my entire world to everybody and gave everybody full disclosure. I never hid anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was on LinkedIn. It was everywhere because I wanted the world to see it.
You know, and honestly, first of all, our spouses deserve a lot of credit.
Oh God, you remember we were recording at midnight?
Well, yeah, we were doing that for a long time. We were getting into the studio. This is back when we were doing 2 episodes a week, right? Getting in at 9, leaving at midnight
or later.
Some
nights we were drinking.
Yeah, just to be able to get through, right?
Yeah, I mean it was tough.
You know, and it was look, I loved every part of it. All of it was growth, right? And when other shows say this, I can say wholeheartedly, like, we mean it a whole hell of a lot more. We literally do this show for the listeners, right? Yeah. We do it for the listeners. That's why we're here. This show wouldn't be what it is without them.
If it wasn't for the listeners, I would not still be on social media.
100%.
I would be off.
Yeah. And thank you to all the listeners that have pushed this show to new heights, right, this past year. And I'm looking forward to what we're able to accomplish together in 2026.
Well, there's only one thing left to say. Regil, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get ready to financial.
Good night, everybody. Happy New Year.
Bye. Yeah.